PC building, something we all love the idea of doing. But when you're actually spending your hard-earned cash on components, it can be a little bit daunting putting them all together yourself, as ultimately the last thing you want to do is make a costly mistake. And this is exactly why I've teamed up with Be Quiet, who have proudly sponsored this video, and together we're going to share our favourite tips and tricks on building your own computer in the easiest way possible. Now before you get started, it's really important to get all of your tools laid out nice and neatly so you know where everything is. So I will always use a magnetic screwdriver, as this means that when you're fiddling about with your motherboard, and especially the motherboard screws, they're not going to fall out on the end of your screwdriver and go somewhere in your case or on your motherboard and takes you ages to find them and clear them up. This happened only 2 days ago. I promise it is the bane of my PC building existence. If you're using a NVMe SSD, you're going to need a smaller sized Phillips head screwdriver, and also very importantly, you're going to need to have somewhere to actually put all of these screws so you don't lose them. And then the other thing you're definitely going to need is this, a Windows USB stick. I say Windows USB stick, this is just a USB stick that has Windows preloaded on it, and this can be found on the Windows website. Simply search for Windows ISO, and then follow the instructions to get it preloaded. Just make sure that you do get yourself a license key eventually to fully activate Windows. Now when you're choosing your case and cooling solutions, it's imperative to make sure that everything is actually going to fit inside the chassis and that you can wire everything up properly. If you're using a lower end motherboard for instance, you may find that you just don't have enough headers to connect all of your fans, or maybe the cooler is too tall, or that the case doesn't actually support your oversized graphics card. For example, I have a few different coolers here, and they're all very high performance, but they all serve very different purposes and have completely different use cases. The Darkrock Pro 4 is a huge cooler that's all about maximizing cooling potential with the smallest amounts of noise. It works a real treat, but it's big. Therefore, if you're after a smaller build, then you'd be better off looking at something like the Darkrock Slim or the Shadowrock TF2. They won't have quite the same performance as the Pro, but the smaller sizes makes them much more flexible, and as such they will work in smaller spaces. Really helpful if you just don't want a huge tower. The Shadowrock is also a great example of a top flow cooler, which is really useful for the smaller chassis, with the added benefit of cooling the motherboard VRMs and reducing the need for a load of case fans. It is really easy to get caught out by some of this stuff, as after all, buying a micro ATX motherboard for a micro ATX chassis is probably quite obvious, but how many of us have actually measured their RAM before? Probably not that many. The final tip before you start is to actually plan out where you want all of your fans and radiators to go, as well as the direction of airflow. You want to make sure that you place all of the case fans in the part of the chassis that have the least restrictive paths, as this will allow your fans to work the most efficiently. For a gaming PC, I usually place any CPU radiators at the top of the case, as this will give a cooler and quieter GPU, while for more workstation-y type systems, I'll probably do the opposite. You pretty much have to choose between having a warmer GPU or a warmer CPU, so depending on what you're going to use your PC for, will probably dictate exactly how you want to arrange everything. Once you do start building, it's time to lay out all of your parts in a bright part of your home, install the I/O shield into your case, and then place the motherboard onto its box. This makes it far easier to install the smaller bits of your system before you place it into the case. Insert the CPU into its socket on the motherboard by lining up the arrows and then dropping it neatly into position. Then plop in the RAM you're using, but make sure that you're placing them into the correct slots, and the motherboard will usually tell you which one to use first by showing a little asterisk next to the DIMMs. But if you're in any doubt at all, always consult the manual. NVMe drives may also need to be placed into a certain slot, especially on the older motherboards or even the brand new X570, so again, take your time and make sure you're doing it right. Once you've checked and installed all of your drives and RAM, it's then time to prepare your CPU socket for its cooler. And depending on the solution that you're going for, you may need to remove the pre-fitted mount and install your own. It's all fairly straightforward stuff, but just make sure that you're using the right hardware for your type of motherboard, and also remember that thermal paste may need to be added if it's not already pre-applied. I usually just place a very small dab on top of the CPU, and then let the weight of the cooler press down and spread it out nice and evenly. But I know there are loads of people out there that will actually grab a little scraper and actually get everything to look nice and neat before they put it down and ensure the absolute most complete coverage. Let me know which one you do in the poll card in the top right hand corner. I'll be interested to hear. If you're fitting a radiator for something like Be Quiet Silent Loop, then you may find that your case features a slide out tray, and this can be used to fit this externally before neatly sliding the whole unit back inside without any messing about. And something that is also really worth doing if you can is to try and cable manage as you go, as you'll soon discover that hiding 15 cables is a lot harder than 1 or 2, and the neatest builds were probably tidied this way. If you're going for the RGB bling look and you're using strips, then it's always important to try and hide them in a way that shows off the light from the strip, but not the RGB node itself, as this will give you a much cleaner look. But ultimately, I think my best bit of advice I could give to anyone that's a bit new to PC building, that's watching these videos and really getting exciting about doing their own rig, is just honestly take your time, take deep breaths when you're doing something. It is all going to feel quite new to you. It is going to be a little bit nerve-wracking. If you spent £200 or you spent £2,000, it doesn't matter. It's still your hardware that you've built with your own money, or I guess trying to build with your own money, and you are going to feel quite pressured. So the best way to counteract this is just to do everything nice and slowly, take regular breaks. I'm going to sound a little bit silly here, but go make yourself a cup of tea every 45 minutes or so, keeping it away from the computer, I guess, because this will actually allow you to do things a lot more carefully, and you won't feel like you're rushing things, you'll make less mistakes. And as someone that has made many silly mistakes over the years, I can tell you that every single time I've been stuck, walking away, taking maybe 10-15 minutes and then coming back always helps. So trust me on this one, just take your time. Once you've successfully built your PC, and congratulations by the way, it's then time to install Windows and make just a few changes in the BIOS. So press the delete key after reaching the motherboard splash screen, and then navigate your way to the memory settings. Most sticks of fast memory actually have baked-in profiles that you can enable, and this will allow your memory to run at the speed that it was actually designed for. Once you've done this, you'll then want to navigate to the fan tuning settings, and let the automatic wizard work out exactly how fast your fan should spin, as this allows for a much quieter PC. The final piece of the puzzle is then to get all of your drivers up to date, and this requires you to find the product support pages of your motherboard and graphics card, and then download the software installers and get them installed. If you do seem to get yourself into a situation where you've plugged in the Ethernet jack but you still can't get the internet to work, then you're probably going to need to download the motherboard network drivers on another PC and then transfer this across on a USB stick, and then you can continue from where you left off. But these have been my main tips and tricks to actually getting a fully working PC in the most seamless and easy PC building fashion possible. And I absolutely love building PCs. For context, I have 9 different PC cases surrounded me in this room at the moment, which is a bit sad and also means I'm very untidy. But the point is, even now, I still make mistakes pretty much every single time I do a build. There'll be something. Normally it's a fan orientation, or just something stupid like a logo's upside down and I'm a bit OCD. The point is, we're always learning, and you have to start somewhere. So if you're watching this video and you're thinking that you do want to start building your own PC, but you're still a little bit unsure, I think everyone that is watching this video will back me up when we say that making that first step and taking what feels like a little bit of a jump is the same for everyone. And until you do that, you will always be thinking, should I build my own PC? To which most of us will say the answer to that is definitely a yes. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, it helps out so much you wouldn't believe. You can find a full list of all the components that you've probably seen in this video down in the description below. Please subscribe for more videos just like this, and if you are new to PC gaming, don't forget to check out the rest of the playlist, PC Gaming Explained, where we go over so much more, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching, I really appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one.